Hello, I'm Amy Zaby with the Jerusalem Connection Red Alert Report for Wednesday, January 15. Will history repeat itself? You may have actually seen some news coverage in the past few weeks regarding the huge uptick in violence against Jews in New York City and New Jersey. Now, this uptick has been going on steadily for years and exponentially so in 2018 and in 2019, rounding out the year of 2019 with a rash of Hanukkah attacks in New York City. The interesting thing is that I finally saw some coverage of this on mainstream media, fleeting though it was. Independent organizations, with the cheering of many, engaged in a march last Sunday for the No Hate, No Fear demonstration of solidarity and peace for the Jewish community. This march was picked up by various media, but the problem was it didn't seem that any other organizations outside Jewish groups showed up, although there were a few individuals. I was saddened by the lack of solidarity by so many human rights groups and celebrities who often lend their name and time to causes to fight violence and bigotry. Moreover, the American Forum for Israel, a member organization of the American Zionist Movement, which is an affiliate of the World Zionist Organization, declared that participation of what they defined as anti-Semitic organizations, such as If Not Now and the Jewish Voice for Peace at the No Hate, No Fear rally, seemed to be off-putting and were disappointed in the lack of pushback. Sadly, at the end of the event, on the way home, one Jewish man who participated in the event was seen being beat up on a metro transit by African Americans, all right after the event. And the irony is that de Blasio actually had the nerve to go on record blaming President Trump for these violent attacks. And sadly so, lacking a prosecution, the consistent apprehension of the perpetrators of these attacks are going unmet by justice. Bail is being either posted low or people are being released without bail, and it's very sickening regarding the prosecution if and when the police are able to catch these perpetrators. The unique part about this quick don't blink or you'll miss it news coverage is it's sort of kind of addressing the elephant in the room in the news. White supremacy for sure is a threat to the Jewish community in the world and in the United States. But it is not the core threat to those events going on in New York City or New Jersey. In fact, it is the African American community, along with a crossover into the Muslim community. Many who study the problem are noting the popularity of black leaders such as Louis Farrakhan as a source of inspiration for the uptick in violence against Jews. Other sources complain that it is the economic success of the Jewish population in these areas in New York and in New Jersey that are generating a have and have not division, and that is inciting violence. Of course, that is just an excuse and doesn't actually put blame on criminal behaviors. In interviews conducted on the streets of New York by Ami Horowitz at the very tail end of 2019, he interviewed many black Americans about what was going on and asked them for their thoughts. Now, keep in mind that the Jews were saying that the African Americans that were being interviewed were claiming that the Jews were rich and not sharing and weren't American. Some of them even said that not only are the Jews not American, they are coming to the area, taking jobs and money, and then sending it back to other countries for which they could not identify. And the last argument about people coming to America, working and sending money back home is one that left usually scorns at when people who oppose illegal immigration oppose the Central and South America community coming to America to work. But be that all as it may, it is heartbreaking to see so many people on the streets of New York say in an interview on camera that while they may not participate in violence themselves and that it is overall a wrong thing, it's kind of understandable, excusable even. It was a heartbreaking video. Ami Horowitz, A-M-I, Horowitz, H-O-R-O-W-I-T-Z. Just Google and find his videos. They're very enlightening and disturbing. The largest Jewish community outside of Israel resides in New York City and has been there for generations, even centuries, and even were established as communities in North America before the Revolution. Liberals and progressives are ignoring the hate, the very groups who themselves market themselves as a for the people, for human rights advocates, and against violence and bigotry, including many Jews who have aligned themselves with the Democrats and progressives for years. They are hiding from this reality. Jews within the liberal community and establishment make no effort to expose and address or remedy the anti-Semitism that grows like a cancer. Instead, they embrace the Islamists who carry the torch, who've carried the torch of anti-Semitism for centuries. Old brands of anti-Semitism and human rights abuse are ongoing in that community, and yet they bring them into the Democratic fold. Whatever happened to Tikkun Olam? Does it not apply to their own Jewish community? Nobody, and rightly so, would tolerate a community wherein, for example, black people were being beat up on public transportation, in the streets, in their homes, in their community centers, in their houses of worship, just because A, they were black, and B, there was a perception that they were being too successful. The press would be all over it. Celebrities and musicians would be having all sorts of various a-thon fundraisers for money and awareness. Golden Globe winners would be using their speech time to denounce the violence. But what we get from the celebrities and musicians are lectures on global warming and scolding for taking down a known terrorist who was responsible for 600 Americans' deaths as well as many others, and who provides the biggest existential threat to Israel as well as the regional stability. These remarks by people on the street in New York City, exposed by Ami Horowitz, were very, very disturbing. Jews in Brooklyn have been there, like I said, for generations, if not hundreds of years. Their financial prosperity is the result of fiscal discipline and not criminal activity. If and when anybody is making money via criminal activity, Jew or otherwise, it is researched, investigated, and prosecuted by law enforcement. Jealousy is one factor in this violence, as well as the idea that all the ills are in the area are the reasons or the ill of the Jews being there. This is the same logic that the KKK uses, that the Nazis use it, and the like. And for the latest update on anti-Semitism award winners, we have Ilhan Omar, who was voted the biggest anti-Semite for 2019. She was among some stiff competition and edged out other contenders such as Jeremy Corbyn, Linda Sarsour, and Rashida Tlaib. So there's a bit of irony for you. Let's keep our Jewish friends and community members here and abroad in our prayers, and let's continue to find truth and expose it where we can. Shavua Tov, and have a great week.